Today I'm with author Mishael Austin Witty. Is that true? I got that right, right? These
Yes, that is
three,
correct.
these three names can be confusing to somebody early in the morning. Okay,
Right.
here we are, Michelle. I'm happy to meet you. Welcome to Between the Lines podcast.
Hi. Thanks for
Hi.
having me.
Well, we have a lot to talk about. You have started a series called Chokeberry Falls. That's the name of the series, correct?
Yes, it's
Yes.
well, this specifically is Chokeberry Falls in Love, because they're
Okay.
all love stories. I've got like a series of mysteries that are still in my head. They're planned out in my head, but I haven't written any yet.
Are those
So
going to be at Chokeberry Falls too? But
they
just
are. Yeah.
okay. Oh,
hmm
how clever. So you'll keep the same series title, but one will be romance, one will be maybe mystery.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I'm thinking.
very
That's what
clever.
I'm planning at this point.
Okay, so let tell us about you. What this first book, and we're going to talk about your first book. It's called Fireman's Lessons in Love. Is that correct?
Fireman's Lesson in Love. Yes.
Okay, so tell us about how that got started for you.
Ah, let's see. It
Put you on
got
the spot
started.
here. I'll put you on the
Yeah,
spot here. Give you a minute to think.
yeah. Well, and I mean, it's been a journey. Like this book has been a journey. It's been wow, like five at least 5 years in the making. Um, honestly, I started it off because I wanted something that would connect with readers because like I just kind of dabbled with writing before. I would write what I wanted to write. But I found out that if you write what you want to write, you don't always hit the market, right? So
Mhm.
then I started looking at, well, if I'm writing just for me, that's great, but I want to write to reach other people too. So, romance novels are always popular. They are one of the romance is one of the genres that people always want to read. And I mean, um, I love romance novels. I've been reading them. Gosh, I don't know, especially romantic suspense and mystery and that kind of stuff. I've been reading that for 30 years myself. You know, so I wanted to write something that hopefully other people would enjoy reading, and so that's when I got this idea, and I started thinking about um, firemen because, like, for me, okay, so the journey when I'm thinking about love. Love to me um, is sacrifice because I look at God and his love for us, and I look at Jesus and what he did on the cross. And it wasn't about, making himself look good. It wasn't about what anybody could do for him. It was about what he could do for other people. And I mean, that's the kind of love, honestly, that I have in my own life with my husband and my marriage. I mean, he is forever asking, what do you need? What can I do for
Oh,
you? Like, how can I serve you? And so,
so you're
I,
married to you're married to a man who's got a servant's heart.
yes, I am. I am.
I am blessed with one of those myself. My husband
Yeah.
is got the biggest servant's heart ever. And isn't that, I
Mhm.
mean, isn't that an incredible blessing alone?
It is,
It is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I kind of have a servant's heart too. So sometimes we sort of
Outserve each
like
other.
get in this competition, like,
Yeah.
well, no, you can't do this for me. I've got to do this for you. But I mean, it works. God makes it work. Um, but so then I started thinking about, service and like men, especially who um, serve and protect. And you think about like police officers or whatever, but I went with firemen um, because I wrote this story. It was like I was on Medium, like I've written some articles on medium.com, and I was in this it was this writing prompt group on
Hmm.
there that was called like the Weekly Knob. And so they give you this prompt and you write to the prompt. Um, and it was something to do with a step ladder. And so I wrote this little short story featured on this step ladder. And it was a bunch of high school kids in a gym getting ready for a homecoming dance, and this like really narcissistic girl is like gaslighting her boyfriend because she's got this other guy on the side that she wants to date instead, and she hasn't like, so it turned into like a whole thing. Um, but I took that story and I thought this would be an interesting scene in a novel.
Right.
And um I had already had the idea that the my main female character was going to be a high school teacher because that makes sense because then she would be there and she
Right.
would see all this stuff happening and she would see all of it go down. And then like the guy who was being gaslighted, like he was going to be her favorite student and that's why she was so invested in the whole in the outcome of the whole thing. Um and then I just thought, well, her dad can own a fireworks shop. Why not? We'll just have her dad own a fireworks shop. And so, and so then, I'm thinking, well, what happens to a fireworks shop? It blows up. There's arson, and and then that's when the whole no, the guy's not going to be a police officer. He's going to be a fireman because
Gotcha.
then he gets directly involved
So all of you
in,
people listening to this, you get to see the creative process of an author because she's telling you the what if. I mean, literally the what
yeah.
if that we have to go through when we're plotting out a story. Well, what if this happened? Well, no, we could tweak it and make it that happen. And then what if we do
Hmm.
this? And it's the whole process of how you think up an entire book. And you just explained
Yeah.
it in a nutshell in just a couple minutes. Good for you.
Yeah.
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 So
That
that's
was
where this
it.
story came from. But
Hmm.
where, questioning this, so I know you're a Christian and
Hmm.
and your writing, do you in your heart believe that God put that on your heart, the writing?
Um, I do. I do. Because it has always, like, writing has always been something that I did. Like, we got my first computer in, I think I was 7. I think it was like the early 80s. I think I was 7 when I got my first computer. And I immediately, after I started playing all the little computer games, because it's like the old Apple IIc or whatever it was, and like
Yeah.
Snake Bite and all this
Yeah.
stuff, and it's awesome.
So different
Uh,
now.
yeah, oh yeah, it's so different now. But no, it was, yeah. So I would get on the word processing thing and I started typing out stories. So I've been typing out stories since I was like 7 years old. I was writing down stories before then. Like anything, because I've always been a reader. I have always been a reader. I have always loved to read. I've always loved to have people read to me. I've always loved to read myself. I think they tested me when I was in second grade and I was reading on a seventh grade
Wow.
level at that point, just because it was a constant part of my life. And so I've always loved words. I've always loved story. Um, and I think, God, I'm sure
Put that
God
on your
put that
heart.
on my heart because why would I have naturally gravitated toward that forever?
Well, and
So
then the gifts he gives us are the ones that he expects us to use. So you're
right.
using a gift that he gave you. It's amazing
Hmm.
to me to see how the Lord works and how he does instill things in us at a very young age, and then
Mm.
and then watches how we develop that or helps us develop it by our circumstances or whatever may be to
Right.
that out. So it's very cool. So you started this story, and I know you're with Elk Lake Publishing, right? So you have a
Hmm.
publisher. And
Yes,
do you have another? This one came out in November. Are you working on a second book for this series?
I am. Yeah, I'm about 30,000 words in at this
Okay.
point. So, yeah, this will be a love story, another romantic suspense. This one will have more suspense, I think, than Fireman's Lesson did, because Fireman's Lesson was more of a mystery, kind
Okay.
of like a romantic mystery
Right.
kind of thing.
Where
Yeah.
suspense is more like on the seat, and you're on
Hmm.
your seat, kind of trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this one's going to be more suspenseful, I think.
Oh, good.
Um, yeah. And some of the side characters in Fireman's Lesson in Love, they get their own love story. So,
Oh, good. So tell us, what does a day look like, a writing day look like for you? Do you have a routine? How do you navigate the writing with life?
Well, I don't have a routine. I mean, I try to have a routine. It's hard for me to have a writing routine just because, well, for the past year and a half, I've been caregiving for my mom and dad.
Right.
And so writing in that kind of situation, it looks like I'm sneaking in an hour here, an hour there. Like, I wrote a story that I just submitted to another publisher. I wrote two stories actually that I submitted to two different publishers. One came out in a free anthology. It's called A Valentine to Remember from Curtis Lynn Publishing. That just came out 2 days ago. So if anybody wants to check out that, it's a free story. And like the fire chief gets his own love story,
Now,
you
is
know,
is
so
that free story? Is that on your website where you're giving it
um,
away?
it's not, it's on Curtis Lynn's website.
Okay. So
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 Curtis,
we'll make sure you give me that link.
okay.
And I'll put that in the show
Yes.
notes. So we'll get that link put in the
Okay.
show notes so that, I mean, otherwise people aren't going to be able to find it. We need to make
Right.
it as easy as possible. So we'll get
Okay.
that. You make sure you get that to me too, and we'll get that put in there.
Okay. I will do that. Great.
Okay.
So no, I'm excited about that because that's a later in life romance and the fire chief gets his own love story.
Oh,
And I
nice.
mean, if you follow like Protecting Zoe is the prequel to Fireman's Lesson in Love. And so
Mhm.
if you follow like his trail all the way from that, then you'll really be glad that he got his own love story
Oh,
because
he's in
he's
the
been through a
prequel
lot.
too.
Yes, he's in the prequel also.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So you have these, and I noticed on your website, Michelle, that you also do editing. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
So
It
you work
is.
with other authors to do editing and that kind of thing to help indie publishers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I do. I've got one client that well, she's got a beta reader reading her story right now, and then she's gonna send it on to me. So
okay.
yeah, and
So,
I've edited two more of her books. So that's
so are you
really neat.
doing content editing or line by line editing, copy editing, what part or all of it?
I kind of do all of it. I do like line editing. I'm really good at. I do content editing at the beginning of the process just to see that everything is flowing. And I've got a content edit that I'm doing for another person right now too. Um, and so then like I break it down after that. Like we'll do the big picture and then like, okay, once we got the big picture set, let's look at words and how can we like, because I'm really good. I had a my senior English teacher in high school. She was like, "Wow, you really know how to manipulate words." And so, like, I'm very good with the line edit. I'm very good with manipulating words to get them to say exactly what we want to say. And I'm very good with keeping the author's voice because I know like a lot of um, editors, I've had this happen to me with editors before. Like I sent in a story to Woman's World once and they published it. They bought it. They gave me money. They published something with my name on it that
But
wasn't even my story.
wow,
It was not my story.
wow.
They
I,
took my cute little mistaken identity story and turned it into an HR nightmare, and it was just horrible.
well, and I think that's critical. You touching on something that I think a lot of non-writers may not be
Mm,
aware of is that writers have a voice, meaning that
mm,
you could probably pick up, if you're well versed in a certain writer, you could, without knowing their name, you could probably pick up one of their books, not knowing who wrote it, and pick up that it was that author who wrote that
hmm.
by their
Right.
voice. And voice is a very, very hard thing. Some like my voice is natural. Some people have to really work at getting a voice. And the first time I
Hmm.
went to a conference and had a editor that was there looking at stuff, look at my things, she completely changed my voice. Like it wasn't my writing
Uh,
anymore. And this
Right.
person is well known. I mean, in the writing industry at this point, she's pretty well known.
Mhm.
So I had a mentor I was working with at the time, and she said, "No, you need to stick with your voice." She said, "You have to be careful because editors
Mhm.
sometimes will snatch your voice from you because they're writing in their voice, not in your voice."
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's a good thing to bring up, as an
Mhm.
editor to make sure you're staying true to a voice.
Yeah. And
It's
that's
like a
something,
signature. It's like your signature.
yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm very, just because I have had stuff like that happen to me, I'm very careful to not
Yeah.
do that to other people. And yes, you can improve the words and you can make the words sing, but if the author's intention is not there, then you're not editing anymore. You're writing for them, and they didn't ask you to be a co-writer.
Well, that's like taking a piece of artwork, an actual painting, and then changing the painting to express what you
Mm,
think it should look like rather than what the
right.
author, the original artist wanted it to look like. So it's
Right.
the same idea. It is art form.
Hmm.
So jumping into something, and I know this is probably really hard because I know you just lost your dad, and you lost
Hmm.
your mom in May, and you were talking about
Right.
how hard it was to get a routine writing because you were a care. It's like raising little kids again when you're a caregiver. You have no time of your own.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
now you're going to have time. Have you
Hmm.
mapped out how that's going to look for you? Because it's like a whole new reality for you now.
It is. It is a whole new reality for me. And we just buried my dad on the 30th, so it's been less than a week.
Oh,
It'll be
I'm
a
so
week.
sorry.
Yeah, it'll be
So
a week
sorry.
tomorrow. Yeah. Um, but I just haven't really thought about
Well,
that.
you
And
probably
I
need
mean,
to process, right? I mean, you need
yeah.
time to grieve. You need time to grieve, to process.
Right.
It takes a lot of time, and we've talked about that, about how,
Hmm.
you lost your mom, and then you're your dad's caregiver, and so you
Yeah.
have all that going through. And I went through the same process. I had a lot of loss, back to back, back to back. And
Mm.
you don't take, especially women, I think you have other obligations. You can't stop and take the
Right.
time to process everything. And then you end up kind of covering it up, and you could end up with some pretty deep
Hmm.
emotional scars that you need to deal with later on down the road. So it's wise, I think,
Right.
to step back and, okay, I need to pray through this. I need to get some Jesus
Hmm.
time. I need to figure out who I am, because you're an orphan now, basically.
Right.
A weird thing to think, but when we do lose our parents, I lost my mom at 6. She was 69 when she passed, and my dad
Hmm.
I lost him 4 years later. And it's a
Oh
hard
well.
thing to lose your parents like that, especially if
Yeah.
you're very close to them as you were.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, and so much of my life, especially for the last year and a half, has been focused on them. So I'm like, well, and I have a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old daughter.
Oh,
So
wow.
I have them that one of them is homesick right now.
Oh. So
She's
are
in
you,
the other room sleeping.
so is your 17-year-old a senior this year?
She'll be a senior next year.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, next year she'll graduate.
Oh,
And
that must feel weird.
yeah, and that's going to be another loss, not really a loss, but
Well,
you
it
know what I'm saying.
is. No, I
It's
get
like
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's a
a loss
change.
of her childhood.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
change is
Yeah.
hard. Change is
Yeah.
hard. Yeah. So, um, when you or think about how when you think you're going to get back into some sort of a routine, do you think you will
Hmm.
be working into a routine where you can? I mean, what is the biggest challenge for you as an author? What is the hardest thing for you to do?
The hardest thing for me to do is to just sit down and do the work. Like, okay, so
You
Elk
kind of have to
Lake.
do that to get a book out, right?
Right. Yeah. Because like, well, and especially working at home, because I see like, well, I have six cats and a dog now because I'm taking care of my parents' animals and my animals. And so like I see them and I see their litter pans and I see their food dishes and their water dishes and so there's always something to distract me. There's always a dirty dish in the sink or clothes to wash or whatever. And that's hard to break out of mom mode. And it's like, okay, just this is important. Elk Lake, I signed the contract with them, I think, like in 2021. And so this book, Fireman's Lesson in Love, was 4 years in the making
Oh, wow.
just because like we were going through the editing process and I was dealing with like the slow decline of my parents and like taking care of the kids and taking care of the animals and doing all the things that I needed to do. And I kept pushing back the novel because I thought, well, I've got these other things that I have to do, and they're more pressing, they're more important. I will finish my novel when life slows down.
Right.
Okay.
And then it
And
didn't.
um and God said, no, that's not what we're doing because life is not going to slow down because then
No
life
such
just got
thing.
no, it just got even crazier and
Yeah.
more hectic. And finally, I just sat down and I'm like, you know what? I'm I'm done with that excuse. That's an excuse. And I've got to just buckle down and do the work. So, I mean, I've always kind of been the person who works best under pressure. So
Yeah,
then when I
I hear
started
you.
feeling that pressure on myself to get this thing done, yeah, then I sat down and I did the work and we barreled through within a couple of months, barring some like the editor had
Right.
some issues going on, but
Do
yeah.
you feel that this is my MO that when I'm struggling with a scene, like I'm not the hardest thing for me to do is just start the scene. Once it's started,
Mm.
I'm good to go. It's just getting that first, and I'm a
Oh yeah.
perfectionist, so it's got to be. But do you feel like sometimes you can be more distracted when you're not sure where you're going? So it's almost like you distract yourself so you're not stuck in front of a blank screen.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that blank screen is the worst. It
It's
um
like mocking you, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things I've had to get rid of too is just the need for everything to be perfect because I am an editor and I do work with words and I know how words should sound and then I'm trying to construct the perfect sentence like every time, right, in my head. And that really slows you. That can slow you down
Does.
too.
But
And
on the other back end of that, because I want to talk about that for a minute, because I that's me.
okay.
That's me. Like I won't go into a new scene till I've edited the scene before. But
Mm.
on the back end of that, you have less editing needed in the end. So it may
Well,
take
that's true.
longer,
Yeah.
but because I had a gal on here who she said, "Oh, I finished 100,000 word book in a month. And I said, really?
Oh my goodness.
Really? I was like, I was ready. She goes, yeah, that was the first draft. And I said, well, how many drafts? Well, there were over 15 drafts before she was done. So,
Oh my goodness.
you have to look at, okay, do I want to do 15 drafts or do I want to do one with a lot of editing on it and have a clean
Hmm.
piece of work when
Right.
I'm done? So you have to look at both ends of it. I get what you're saying. I will admit
Hmm.
I get slowed down by that perfectionist. Like I have to go
Hmm.
back and look. And partly, and I'm sure yours are like this too, most romance books are, they're more character driven than they are plot driven. There's a lot of
Oh, yes.
character. So in
Yes.
order for you to get into the character to write the next scene, you have to kind of
Hmm.
have that, you got to get back into that character's head.
Right.
And so that does slow things down too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But I mean, it's fun. It's fun
Yeah.
because my characters talk to me and then they take over the story
Oh, is
and
that
that
crazy when that happens?
it is crazy. Yeah.
So that's the
It's,
question. Are you a pantser or are you a plotter?
um,
Are you somewhere in
I
between?
I am somewhere in between. I like to have an outline, just to know kind of where I'm headed. Like you're talking about, like when I'm hitting the next scene, like I need to know what the purpose of that scene is. I need to
Right,
know where that scene is going, or else that scene's not going anywhere,
right.
right? But I don't, um, like I tried to I did once outline a book to death. Like I outlined everything that happened in that whole book, and then by the time I got done with the outline, I was like, I don't want to write this book. I've already written it. The book's the book's
Well,
there.
that doesn't allow the Holy Spirit to bring, like I always have a
No.
character that shows up that I was not expecting,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
or a character that might have been a very minor just there take
Hmm.
on a huge significance in the faith story in the end.
Well, that actually happened in Fireman's Lesson. Like it wasn't part of the faith story. It was part of the suspense because, I wrote this one character in and I thought, well, I wrote this one like they're at a football game, right? They're at a football game and they're both working the game and the dance, the chaperones and all this stuff. Um, and this one encounter that she had with this older woman in the football stands in this,
Right.
outside. And I'm like, then that woman appears later, and she's like the grandmother of one of the main characters who's involved in the whole mystery. And I'm like,
I didn't see that
wow,
coming.
okay.
I
I
didn't
did
know.
not see that coming. I'm like, wait, that's that woman. That's who that is.
I know it's crazy. There, I can't
Mhm.
remember, and I think it was William Faulkner that said writing is like you're racing behind the characters with a pencil and a pad, just writing down
Oh,
everything they do because they get ahead of you so often. I mean, even
right.
in my book Night Songs, I and I had a very vague outline, but there was a dog that appeared. I was not expecting it. It was written in the very
Oh,
beginning, and that dog was critical throughout the entire story, and I had never planned on having a dog in there.
oh
So
yeah.
you just don't know. You just don't
Hmm.
know. I love when we can allow the Holy Spirit to come in and do the, and I say I'm just the typist, the Lord is the author.
Right.
And when you can allow that to happen, somehow everything connects much better than when we try to do it in
Hmm.
our own strength.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's very true. And like the person behind the arson in the book is a completely different person from who I had it
Thought.
planned out to be. Okay? Because like I thought it's going to be this person. I
Yeah.
put all these clues pointing to that person, and then halfway through the book, I'm like, wait, it's not that person. It's this person. And they're just trying to make it look like it's that person. And that's what's been going on all this time. I mean, yeah,
It's
it's that.
crazy. I mean, people don't understand. I think anybody who's not a writer are going to think we're loony as all get out, but it actually happens that way. Is the story takes on a life of its own, and we're not always sure of the exact
Hmm.
outcome. I remember the
Right.
first time I walked into a writers' conference at Mount Hermon up in the Santa Cruz
Hmm.
Mountains in California, and I just wandered through the dining room where you had 300 and some odd authors all talking.
Hmm.
And if you walk through that room and you're listening to their conversations, you think any normal person walking in here doesn't isn't a writer. I mean, we're talking plots and we're talking, well, this person did this and that person did that, and you have all these things. If you didn't know they were writers in there, you would really
Hmm.
think you were in an alternate universe because it
Right.
sounds bizarre when writers start talking
Hmm.
characters. It sounds
Yeah.
bizarre. Well, it's been so much fun, Michelle. I'm so glad that we were able to chat about the life. It's called Fireman's Lessons
Fireman's lesson.
in Love.
Mhm.
And when you come out with book two, I'd love to have you back and we can talk about that one as well.
Okay, great.
But I'll
I'd
make
be
sure
happy
all the
to.
links get put in here so you can get up to Michelle's website. I have the link for the book already set up
Okay.
so that we'll get that in the show notes. You'll get me the link for the free book, and then we'll get
Yeah.
that put in the show notes as well. And this will be publishing on um, the 19th of this month, February 19th.
All right. Sounds
Okay.
good.
So it's been a real pleasure. Thank you for coming on and talking to me.
Thank you for having me. Mhm.
Have a good day.
Yeah, you too.